I offer my respectful obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and to all of you. We're here really to decide the fate of the world, which has been handed over to us. It's our responsibility. We hold the medicine in our vaults, in our book rooms. It's the Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we've invited on some of the most exemplary of those who are teaching Bhagavat and living Bhagavat. We'll have His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, the inspiration for book distribution all over the world, who shows by his example what Prabhupada always said about Vyavasayatmika Bhudhir Eke Hakuru Nandana, that if one devotes oneself to the order of the spiritual master, then one's success is imminent and actually guaranteed. And then we also have one of my favorites on the planet, Amarendra Prabhu, who lives and breathes the Bhagavatam, probably not just in this life, but many before, bringing in the momentum. We have a chorus to hear of voices of realization of the Bhagavat. And we're all here together. We recognize one another on this Zoom. We're doing this together. We're moving forward. And don't look now, but we're right in the middle of the Sankirtan movement. This is it. It's not about to start. It already started, and somehow or other, we're it. I don't know how I got in here, but I'm going along with you guys. So we have, as usual, a kind of urgency, a feeling of anxiety, because we would really like to do something big, as big as we possibly can. Birds fly in the sky as high as they're able, and the sky's unlimited, but we challenge ourselves every year, don't we, everybody? And we feel it. Don't you lose sleep a little bit? I've had this kind of quiet anxiety every time we set a new goal. So this year, of course, we're going for 23% increase over what we did last year. It was Prabhupada's mode. He said, always create fresh challenges, because Krishna consciousness means to be daring and active. And we're being really daring this year by working towards the next goal, which is to come up to this 43,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam worldwide. We're tracking everybody all over the planet as much as we can. We have our expert, Anukul Seva Prabhu, on the call. And Shamahini, of course, is constantly, she's in samadhi, never sleeps. She's always thinking of how to string everything together. So we'll be talking about this, and as soon as we know that His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj is on, then we'll ask him to speak to us, to advocate for Bhagavatam, so that we can take his words and feel empowered. And we'll also show him the maps. It was one of the ways that we're getting a bird's eye view of what's going on in the world. We have maps of every continent to show where we are relative to our goal. What gets measured gets done. And Shamahini, Anukul, you'll let me know when Maharaj gets in the room, right?
Yes, Maharaj, we're just in communication with the team there and finding out the exact time. So,
okay. So I'll just say a couple more words as we're waiting for Maharaj, and that is that all advancement in life takes place by association with the Bhagavatas, the book Bhagavata and the person Bhagavatas. And step by step, by drinking in that sound vibration from the spiritual world, Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo, it's from a different creation. It's not from this world. We're in a closed universe. The information is recycled in the material world. It's the same thing again and again. That's why nobody gets anywhere in this world. But if you want to get somewhere, if you actually want to make progress, then you have to hear the right vibration. That's the vibration of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we could take the example of Parikshit Maharaj, who sat patiently and just listened to Shukadeva Goswami. He asked relevant questions. And the spirit of the Bhagavatam is that it should be shared with others. Srila Prabhupada saw it, Tato Jaya Mudirayat, as the main means of conquest over the modes of material nature which are oppressing the people of the world. He wrote about it on the Jaladuta, that this would be the way that people could be emancipated by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And he quoted the verses starting with Shusho Shradhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syan Mahat Seveya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. Which means that if we serve great souls, we serve the Bhagavatas, then we'll develop the desire to hear it, which is the greatest asset anybody can have. And then by going on hearing Krishna, who is so friendly and is within the heart, helps us to winnow out those useless desires that hinder us in our ability to fully serve him. So it's important to distribute it because we then see for ourselves the transformative power of the Bhagavatam. When we take it ourselves, we'll see it, but even more so, even more pronounced it is when it goes out to people who are unaware of it, what Bhagavatam is, what Bhagavat culture is, and then they hear it, and then you see that they become transformed. They naturally give up bad habits, and it verifies the Bhagavatam's version. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Yashavayaragyam Jnanam Shayara Haitukam. That by doing direct devotional service to Krishna, Vasudeva, one gets the concomitant benefits of knowledge and detachment. Sure, impossible to get anywhere in this world. Nobody can maintain a position above the modes of material nature. It's impossible. Mama Maya Duratya. But through the power of the Bhagavatam, we see people able to transform their lives and actually become free from the influence of the lower modes of nature. So if we expand that into a mass movement, which is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur envisioned, what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta carried out in India and some other places around the world, and what Srila Prabhupada made practical internationally, we're involved in that. That's why we've called this campaign Save Earth Now. It appeared in the Village Voice. And we're taking that moniker because the earth needs a little help right now. And it starts one person at a time. And then the vibration spreads to the family, then to a community, then to a nation. Other than from the inside out, there is no improvement in the world. So every step we take to make sure that the Bhagavatam goes into institutions, into people's homes, and that people are able to associate with the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavata devotees who are hearing it and practicing it is a step towards saving the earth now. Okay, Anukul Seva, Prabhu, you give me an update as we take our time to invite His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj into the room. What is our situation? We're in great anticipation. I'm getting notes here. Nartam Priya is checking just now. Okay, how is everybody? Good. Tim and Vicky, great to see you. Nitai Gopal Prabhu is here. Malini Preeti coming all the way from Malaysia. Thank you very much. I see Amarendra Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Things are looking up.
Thank you.
Great to see all of you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So Amarendra Prabhu, we're going to start with you. I mean, you're ready to go 24/7. So please go ahead. And then when Maharaj comes, then we'll bring him in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to start off with repeated prostrate obeisances of gratitude. Thank you for kindly having me here, dear Visheshega Prabhu. Your decades and decades of service to Srimad Bhagavatam is very, very inspiring for all generations to come. So thank you for having me here. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane. So whenever I'm supposed to stop, please Anukul Seva Prabhu, please feel free to switch on the microphone and let me know, because I am personally here to hear from Maharaj. So I'm going to speak just as a stopgap in the middle. As soon as Maharaj comes, please let me know. I'll be very happy to stop and hear. Samsara sindhu mati dustara mutti tirusho nanya plava bhagavata purushottamasya leela katha rasani sevanamantarena pumsam bhaved vivida dukkha davarthitasya. In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Save Earth Now campaign has been described. Samsara sindhum ati dustaram utti tirusho. It has been described that this material existence is an ocean which is insurmountable. It's impossible to cross over. And there's no other boat. There's only one boat. And the boat is na anya plava bhagavataha purushottamasya leela katha rasani sevanam antarena. This is the 40th verse of the 4th chapter of the 12th canto, which describes that the only boat that exists, or we could share, ideally there are ships that are used to cross over the ocean, but this is a boat because there's limited space. Only few people want to cross over. Not many want to cross over this ocean of material existence. So the only boat that exists, which can take us across the ocean of suffering, is Bhagavataha Purushottamasya Leela Katha Rasani Sevanam. It is the relishment of the beautiful, wonderful, sweet pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead discussed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, Pumsam Bhavet Vivida Dukkha Davarthitasya. Living entities who are being burnt by the forest fire of distress in this ocean of material existence. There's only one way. That is to study Srimad Bhagavatam, practice Srimad Bhagavatam, and share Srimad Bhagavatam with the world. Because this is the boat that takes us across. In the Padma Puran, the same thing has been explained in a different verse. Tamadi Devam Karuna Nidhanam Tamala Varanam Suhitavataram Apar Samsara Samudra Setum Bhajamahe Bhagavata Swarupam. In this verse from the Padma Puran, it describes that this ocean of material existence has only one bridge that we can take to cross over. And the name of that bridge is Bhagavata Swarupam, Srimad Bhagavatam. So as we see in the present generation that we live in, it's getting impossible materially to live in, with pandemics, with epidemics, health concerns, psychophysical problems, depression, loneliness. We are suffering on the physical plane. We are suffering on the mental platform. We are suffering in relationships. We are suffering with our egos being smashed in the spheres of life, whether at work, whether at home. We are suffering financially. Amidst all of this, there's only one hope: to fill our hearts, the pots of our hearts, with the nectar of joy, that is to study and share the pastimes of Krishna, which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. We see that even Vyasadeva himself found so much solace after composing and compiling Srimad Bhagavatam. We see the attachment that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself had in the studying of Srimad Bhagavatam. He would sit with Gadadhar Pandit Goswami at the Tota Gopinath temple in Jagannath Puri and study Srimad Bhagavatam, not once, not twice, but 108 times. Just the pastime of Dhruva, just the pastime of Prahlad. In fact, in the Puranas, it is described, Sada Sevya, Srimad Bhagavati Katha, Yasya Shravana Matrena, Hari Chittam Samashrayet. That Sri Krishna, whose lotus feet we have to take shelter of, that same Krishna takes shelter of the heart of the living entity. If the living entity studies and shares the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam with the world. This is the benediction given for those who practice and share this culture of Srimad Bhagavatam. Not just Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar Pandit, we find in the generations to follow, we see Srila Rupa Goswami writing commentaries in the form of the Laghu Bhagavatamrita. Srila Sanatan Goswami writing commentaries in the form of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, the expansions of the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, not just writing commentaries to the Srimad Bhagavatam, but also writing a supplementary copy to the Bhagavatam as the Bhagavata Amrita Kana, a small droplet in the ocean of the nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. What to speak of the life of Srinivas Acharya, who taught us how rare it is to get the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srinivas Acharya personally walked all the way to have darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He went all the way to have the personal audience of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And unfortunately, he fell flat on his knees, jaws dropping in not amazement, but in shock and grief when he got to know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had wound up his pastimes. He was crying and weeping to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in his heart and directed him towards Gadadhar Pandit. Said, you go to Gadadhar Pandit and he will teach you Srimad Bhagavatam. Srinivas Acharya walks all the way to Gadadhar Pandit, who's crying and weeping. Torrents of rain showers in the form of tears from the clouds of his eyes. The bursts of ecstatic separation and lamentation, feeling the pain of separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar Pandit said, yes, I would be very happy to teach you Srimad Bhagavatam, but there's a big problem. I have only one copy of Srimad Bhagavatam. And that copy has been drenched by the ever-flowing tears in separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My tears have drenched the paper and smudged the ink, and now I can't read the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam myself. So if you can arrange another copy of Srimad Bhagavatam, I will teach you. Now here is Srinivas Acharya writing to Narahari Sarkar, his instructing spiritual master, Shiksha Guru, to arrange for a copy to help him. And then he goes all the way to collect that copy. And by the time he returns with the copy, he understands that Gadadhar Pandit has also wound up his pastimes in separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srinivas Acharya has one copy of Srimad Bhagavatam and no teacher to teach him. Again, he's crying and weeping. And Gadadhar Pandit appears in his heart and tells him, go to Rupa and Sanatan in Vrindavan. Srinivas Acharya walks all the way from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan, only to get to this news that Rupa and Sanatan have left this world in separation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srinivas Acharya can't believe this. He's crying, looking at the sky. I think I am the most unfortunate person. I can't see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I can't get a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when I get a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam, I have no teacher to teach me. The Acharyas preferred to leave this world than to sit and teach me. And Rupa and Sanatan appear amidst his very sincere eagerness to study Srimad Bhagavatam. They appear in his heart and they direct him towards Gopal Bhatta Goswami and Jiva Goswami. Here is Srinivas Acharya at the lotus feet of Radha Govinda Dev in Vrindavan, getting the personal audience of Jiva Goswami, who takes him to Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Gopal Bhatta Goswami initiates him and instructs him to study Srimad Bhagavatam from Jiva Goswami. Dear devotees, one copy of Srimad Bhagavatam and one teacher of Srimad Bhagavatam is that rare a commodity and fortune in this material world. Srinivas Acharya personally went through all this trouble only to teach us from his personal example. Look at Bhaktivinoda Thakur. To get one copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita in Bengali, he struggled. He couldn't find it so easily. But look at our great fortune. Coming down the generation as the followers of Srila Prabhupada under the auspices of ISKCON, we have Srimad Bhagavatam on our book racks, on our bookshelves. But unfortunately, Srimad Bhagavatam is crying for two reasons. One, because we have kept Srimad Bhagavatam as it is. Prabhupada said, yes, Bhagavad Gita as it is, but we have kept even Srimad Bhagavatam as it is. We kept him as it is on the book rack, in the bookshelf. Srimad Bhagavatam is crying for two reasons. One, pick me up and study and drown in devotional love. And second, As Sripad Vaisheshika Prabhu explains, distribute the overflow. Fill your heart with devotion and share this nectar with the world. Srimad Bhagavatam needs all of us. The earth needs all of us. In fact, in the followers of Srila Prabhupada, today is the holy appearance day of Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj would have a headache if he didn't have an opportunity to share Srimad Bhagavatam on a specific day. If there's no Bhagavatam class, if there's no way he can share Srimad Bhagavatam with the world, he would have a headache. And the way to cure his headache was not pills, but just a Srimad Bhagavatam class. And when he would speak Srimad Bhagavatam for 3-4 hours, he would feel so much joy. Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, waking up at 2:30 in the morning, studying Srimad Bhagavatam and sharing that, even before Mangalarati. And what to speak of the examples that Param Pujyapad Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj and Sripad Vaisheshika Prabhu have shown this world, of studying Srimad Bhagavatam, teaching Srimad Bhagavatam, distributing Srimad Bhagavatam, and living lives based on Srimad Bhagavatam for all of us to see as an example. In fact, in the Shastra, it is described the fortune that we all have. What does one gain by distributing Srimad Bhagavatam? It is described that Hema Simhayutam Chaitat Vaishnavaya Tadaticha Krishnena Sahasayujyam Sapuman Labhate Dhruvam. That if someone distributes the physical copy of Srimad Bhagavatam through book distribution, it is a guarantee. Krishna gives a guarantee at the time of death, I will come. Pritya tasyaiva vaikuntham govindopi prayachati. Krishna gives a guarantee that I will take you back home, back to Godhead, only if you engage in this book distribution campaign. So therefore, dear devotees, it is of paramount importance for all of us to save earth now, as Sripad Vaisheshika Prabhu was explaining, because the Shastra describes Tavat samsara chakresmin bhramate ajnanatah puman yavat karanagata nasti shukha shastra kathakshanam. That till the time one doesn't absorb one's consciousness in the words of Srimad Bhagavatam, till that extent, till that point, one is guaranteed to transmigrate in this material world. This is the translation to the verse that we just uttered. So therefore, by giving this fortune to one and all, by personally practicing it, by teaching it, and by sharing these books with the world, we give everyone the opportunity to drown in the pastimes of Vrindavan Dham. In fact, Mula Prakriti Devi very beautifully explains how happy Srila Prabhupada used to get by just hearing the book distribution scores. One time in Hawaii, as she was returning after book distribution at the airport, Prabhupada's servant was Upendra Prabhu at that time. So Prabhupada asked Upendra Prabhu, is she coming from preaching? And Upendra Prabhu said, yes, she's coming from book distribution. Prabhupada said, call her in right now. And she explains that her hair was disabled and she was all day at the airport. And Upendra Prabhu runs down to tell her, Prabhupada wants to see you. He wants to know how your day of book distribution was. He wants to talk to you. And she goes in and Prabhupada calls her closer. Sit, just like a grandfather would speak to a granddaughter, right? Come close, sit and tell me how your day was. What did you do? And she said, well, Prabhupada, I was distributing your books. And Prabhupada got more excited. He said, please tell me, how many books? Did you get some Srimad Bhagavatam? And she said, yes, Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, what kind of audience? She said, teachers, students, housewives, professors, military men. Prabhupada said, more. And what background? And she said, well, there were people who were Americans. I saw some Indians as well. And there were some Europeans. Prabhupada said, more? Children? Students? And she said, yes. Prabhupada said, what was the conversation like? What were you telling them? And she would say, well, I was reading out from sections of Srimad Bhagavatam by saying, this is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. By studying Srimad Bhagavatam, your life will become perfect and you'll become happy. Prabhupada said, yes, this is the way Srimad Bhagavatam sells himself. Prabhupada picked up the verse, Krishniswadhamopagate dharma jnanadi bhisaha kalau nashtadrishametas puranarkadunoditaha. This is the 43rd verse of the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto. And Srila Prabhupada said, this is the verse which describes that when Krishna left the planet, Krishna reincarnated in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Because when Krishna left, all religiosity, all piety left with him and made this world very dark in ignorance. but the sun of Srimad Bhagavatam has risen to give light to one and all. And Srila Prabhupada said, look how Srimad Bhagavatam is selling himself. And Prabhupada said, I myself gained so much inspiration by studying Srimad Bhagavatam. So you should continue like this and know for sure it pleases me the most. In fact, Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj explains, whenever Prabhupada would arrive in any center, any temple, the first question at the airport used to be, how's the book distribution like? Amidst all the projects that Prabhupada was into, Prabhupada said, distributing my books pleases me like no other service. If you really want to please me, distribute my books. So we please Srila Prabhupada, and following the footsteps of Narottam, Shyamananda, and Srinivas, the first ever book distribution campaign, the first ever Save Earth campaign in our parampara, we are following their footsteps. Because Srinivas Acharya, after he learned and studied the Srimad Bhagavatam from Jiva Goswami, he personally, with Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda Prabhu, went on book distribution. And it is described how wonderfully they collected all the books of the Goswamis. Even the works of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was stacked up on a bullock cart. And by the will of good fortune, Krishna's divine intervention, they went off to sleep that night because they were so tired speaking and distributing these books. They went off to sleep that night under a wish-fulfilling tree. And when they woke up, all the books were gone. And they were shocked because they had no clue where the books disappeared. And lo and behold, they went on in different directions to search for these books. And Srinivas Acharya, directed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the heart, happened to enter a kingdom where there was narration of Srimad Bhagavatam, the kingdom of Maharaj Veerham Veer. And there's ecstatic discussion of the Rasa Leela from the 10th canto. And Srinivas Acharya is listening to the narration, but he's not quite satisfied with the purport that's given as the interpretation to the pastime, because he's learnt it firsthand from Jiva Goswami, the greatest scholar and authority on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srinivas Acharya gets up in the middle of that assembly and he tells the king, well, that's not the interpretation. That's not authorized. And the authentic meaning of this verse is as follows. And as Srinivas Acharya goes on to explain, the whole courtroom is spellbound in amazement. And the king invites Srinivas Acharya to an embrace. And he explains to him that, oh, you have blessed me with your presence. Please tell me what brings you here. And Srinivas Acharya tells the king, well, I came on a book distribution campaign, but unfortunately, I've lost all my books. I don't know who has stolen it. And the king reveals, he explained that actually I'm a king during the day, but I have a bad habit that I like to steal at night. It's a mysterious story, a very mysterious story. So yeah, I have an astrologer who predicts on which street the most richest person is walking. And then the richest person that was predicted by the astrologer was Srinivas Acharya, because he was richest, because he had the wealth of the books. So the king ordered his men to go and plunder this wealth and get all the treasure. And the treasure was Srimad Bhagavatam. So the king said, the books that you're searching for is actually there in my book room. I thought I was stealing the greatest wealth in the form of gold and diamonds and rubies and emeralds, but I found something way higher, the most precious jewel of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's all right here. So Srinivas Acharya is so happy to see the treasure that he had lost to get it back. Srinivas Acharya becomes so pleased. The king falls flat on his knees at the lotus feet of Srinivas Acharya and begs him for forgiveness, begs him with apologies and forgiveness. He says, please forgive me. I stole all of this, but I want to return it back to you. As atonement, I want to take shelter of your lotus feet, not just me, but the whole kingdom. Srinivas Acharya initiates everyone and gives them the instruction to physically handwrite and hand copy the Srimad Bhagavatam and help him in the book distribution campaign of saving Mother Earth. So Maharaj Veerham Veer was inspired by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take all those books away, only so that later he can give it back and take shelter of Srinivas Acharya and help in the book distribution marathon. So they all get initiated and physically hand copy, and they distribute this nectar. And that's how Srimad Bhagavatam comes down generations by the blessings of Narottam, Shyamananda, and Srinivas. The book distribution triad, we could say, of the Gaudiya Vaishnav Sampradaya. Last but not the least, how can we repay Srila Prabhupada for what he has given us? My Guru Maharaj explains that English language is like the flowing river in a village. You see, in a village, you have a flowing river and you can do everything with it. You can drink water from it. You can wash your clothes at a certain place. You can even bathe. You can even take your animals there to drink water. It's like a community place. And the flowing river helps everyone in the village. So my spiritual master explains that English language is like the flowing river. It has poetry, it has drama, it has literature. It's for everyone in the world. But what is Srimad Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavatam is like Charanamrit. It's like the nectar from the lotus feet of the Lord. And what did Prabhupada do? He mixed Charanamrit into the flowing river of the village. Now everyone in the village gets Charanamrit. So by giving Srimad Bhagavatam in a language that the whole world can read, that's the English language, Prabhupada has given the whole world this great fortune of studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Because how many of us can actually reach the commentaries of the Sanskrit language and understand the purport? It's impossible. But Srila Prabhupada, just like baby food, the mother crushes everything, and in a way that the child can digest. Srila Prabhupada has taken all the commentaries, plus added his personal transcendental ecstatic purports and given it in the language of the world, the English language that we all discuss, that we all speak, and all communications takes place in this world. So by studying Srimad Bhagavatam, under the auspices of Srila Prabhupada, we can tap into the nectar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's compassion, mixed with Srila Prabhupada's unlimited magnanimous heart. So it's our greatest fortune. As Sripad Vaisheshika Prabhu was explaining, we are right now in the Sankirtan movement. It is not in the past and it's not in the future. We are right now in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes of studying Srimad Bhagavatam, living by those principles and sharing it with the world. And last but just as a small update, my book distribution score in the last 2 weeks has been 25 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. So just wanted to add that for the pleasure and the smile of Sripad Vaisheshika Prabhu. With that, I would like to offer my obeisances to one and all present here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo.
Amarendra Prabhu, Hari Bol. We don't have to eat, drink, or sleep. We can sit and listen to you. Chutam Harikatamritam, because the Harikatha flows like a waterfall coming from the Ganga. Thank you very much. Really, your Utsahan, spiritual enthusiasm is really lifting us up. And thank you for your example of drinking the Bhagavatam and distributing it everywhere. And congratulations on the last several days doing 25 sets of Bhagavatams. And that reminds me to remind everyone that we're in the last days of the Bhadra Purnima campaign, and it's a crunch time now. We do well, all of us in this crunch time. We follow Kadvanga Maharaj, and the best we've done has been during the most trying times. We did in 2020, we expanded more than ever before in the last couple weeks of the Bhadra campaign. When things looked most bleak, it was actually the best for all of us. Same in 2021. So just as a reminder, this last period makes all the difference in the world. Anukul Seva Prabhu, you have a video to show. And please, everyone, give a thumbs up or a heart of appreciation for His Grace Amarendra Prabhu for taking his valuable time to come here. And we hope you'll come again and again, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anukul, over to you for some more. Please accept my most humble obeisances, Okoish to Srila Prabhupada. We're starting again with the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam, culminating at Bhadra Purnima. This is 2022, and we can see for ourselves now how Kali Yuga is
is advancing. There is a solution, and we hold it in our hands. Srila Prabhupada left it for us. Lord Krishna left it for us. Krishna swadamo bhagate dharma ganadi visaha. If we want to see peace in the world, dharma enacted all over the world, Srimad Bhagavatam is the remedy. We can't solve problems by having meetings in Congress or, as Prabhupada pointed out many times, nations coming together to discuss at the same level that the problems are caused, and that is consciousness affected by the lower modes of nature. There's only one solution. It's Srimad Bhagavatam. Namanyanantasya yashon kitanyat shrimanti gayanti grinanti sahatva. Because it contains the pure vibration of the spiritual world, and it can be heard by people, and they can be transformed. It starts with one person, and then it spreads to a family, and then to a community, and then to the world. We can do this, and it's the only hope for the world, is to bring people the spiritual vibration. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that the devotees are like doctors, Vaidya's, and they carry with them their little black bags, my words. But within them, they have hymns and instructions. We have those things. We have the perfect medicine. It's the Srimad Bhagavatam. It can transform the world.
That video is available. My apologies for being in it, but please feel free to use it to introduce the campaign locally. It's good to get the word out. Visibility is the key to the last 12 days only, and we have many more pledges to come in. Speaking of which, before we have Malini come in and give us some practical ways in which she, her team, and other teams that she's working with around the world are able to increase their distribution of Srimad Bhagavatams. I'm going to show you the maps. We'll take a cursory look because it's good to see where we are. And we are in the midst, or at the tail end of the Save Earth Now campaign. Make sure to make this visible. I'm here in Toronto right now, and there are posters prominently displayed, big ones all over the temple room, and it's making a really big difference. Visibility is key. The more you show, the more you sell. It's one of the laws of book distribution. Okay, Anukul, we'll move forward. Here's what it's looked like over the last several years since 2018. You can see we're on the rise. And it's in our interest, it's in the world's interest to continue that trend upwards. In fact, our vision is for the next 5 years. To come to 2026, we want to increase capacity so that by 2026, we can distribute at least 100,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam worldwide. It means that we have to incrementally increase our capacity year upon year to get to this point. And that's what we're working on together. So the Bhadra goal for 2022 is 43,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's in the next 12 days. That means a 23% increase year after year. Some of these memes that you're looking at, slides, are available as merch. We have buttons, we have stickers, we have bags, we have aprons, soap and a rope. Everything available. You can pass out and inform people, but do it quickly because there's only 12 days left. Now we're going to look at some of the continents. Here's New Zealand. And Their pledge right now is at 101. Their 23% would be at 118, 116. Okay, we'll keep spinning through. We're looking at Australia. You can see the numbers for yourselves. There's a little chart up there that shows the 2021 pledge, the 23% increase. If you can read all those numbers, then more power to you. Current pledge is at 300, which is a nice increase. Way to go, Australia. Fiji, which is our leading indicator continent. The way Fiji goes, the rest of the world goes. They started with saying, I don't think we can distribute any sets of Bhagavatams. And then they were able to do 1, and then 5, then 7, then 12. And now they're realizing more and more capacity and getting more inventory over in that tiny little place. And their enthusiasm is inspiring to all of us. Thank you very much, Fiji. Far East, the mighty Far East. We don't always get current information because some of it is clandestine, but you can see some of the mighty areas like Bangladesh. My economics teacher used to say it's a fourth world country because so many natural disasters, very difficult to come up economically, but it's also one of the, according to the survey, happiest place on earth. And now we can see why. When the Bhagavatam marathon starts, they stand up to it, and they're at 5,000. So we're still waiting for pledges to come in. We see Japan, Thailand, Madhya Purva. I think there's a lot more to go there. We're still waiting for information. Here we have Europe. They're 1,689. They need 1,853. I know Divyanam Prabhu and team are working around the clock to make sure that they hit their numbers. Way to go, Team Europe. Africa, wow. We've been talking Africa, and they're really having a good year. They're all really inspired. Their current pledge is 349. So that's way, way above what they've been doing because they have amazing leadership there, and they want to make their continent look just like India's. I think they can beat India. Mahatma Prabhu said, making the impossible possible is how we have fun in the Krishna conscious movement. So go Africa. Here's South America. We have Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, Chile, Argentina at 130. We need to get to 221. So just double whatever you're thinking right now, everybody in South America. Okay? Thank you. North America, please, people, work with me now. This is supposed to be the richest country in the world. Who knows? But we need a big effort from North America, really do. We have just heard from Amarendra Prabhu how rare the Bhagavatam is. Somehow or other, we not only have it available in English now, but we also have the freedom of speech and freedom of religion to distribute it. You can't take that for granted. We could lose anything at any time. Now's the window of opportunity for America to rise above any obstacles and come to the highest level. We need 5176 to hit our 23% increase. Everyone who thinks we can do it, please put a thumbs up and a reaction. Thank you, Tim and Vicky. Thank you, Prema and Premi. Okay, India. India, it's such a huge country. They're so organized there. It takes us a while to hear from everybody and collate the numbers, but they're coming in. They're normally the lion's share of everything that we do. Their 23% increase will be at 24,600. I've heard through the grapevine, these are just unofficial, but behind the scenes, they're looking at a lot more than that, but they're taking a while to circle around and get everyone's pledges. And hopefully we'll be hearing from them in the next few days. And we'll give you updates as soon as we have them. Here's the global look. I guess what you can take from this is that the whole planet is engaged. We do still need volunteers for Antarctica. I think someone said they were working on it, but we do need to cover the earth. We need a comprehensive effort. The Bhagavatam has to go out everywhere, and people also have to be held by the hand so they can come into the Bhagavad culture and hear about it and learn to practice devotional service. It's very important. So everyone's deputized. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just with his lotus mouth, gave a blanket statement that everyone's eligible to distribute this. So please feel free to take risks and put yourself out. It's the way to make advancement in devotional service. Now we're going to come over to Malini Devi Dasi, coming from ISV. She's the co-Sankirtan leader there and also one of the world trainers. I'm also looking to see if I'm getting messages of, we're keeping an eye out. Gopal Krishnamars was traveling and we're just waiting to see when he can come in. Shamahini, do we have updated information? Nope, not yet. Okay, so Malini, over to you. Please tell us what's the cutting edge. How are devotees distributing sets of Bhagavatams or getting fundraisers going?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Glory to Prabhupada. One of the major increases that we saw at ISV in distributing Srimad Bhagavatam is that many devotees think that they may not be able to personally go out and distribute Bhagavatam sets, but they would like to sponsor Srimad Bhagavatam sets. And we figured out that if we do a fundraiser and ask devotees to sponsor sets, then they were very enthusiastic and we saw a drastic increase here at ISV. We found that one of the best places that devotees want to send sets of Bhagavatams is to their 52 cousins in India, to start with, as Vaisheshika Prabhu mentions. And there we found that devotees were sponsoring 50, 100 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams because they want to make sure that every one of their family has a full set of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Ankul Siva Prabhu, if you can please project the slides now. We figured out a system where we can safely and legally send sets of Srimad Bhagavatams to the family in India. At the same time, we also wanted to save the villages of India. And we saw that a lot of devotees were enthusiastic in sending sets of Bhagavatam to their villages or to any village. So we developed a system. Next slide, Prabhu. So first thing we figured out, there's an organization within North America, which can legally send funds to the organization in India. And we work with Damodar Vamshidhari Prabhu and Sri Ram Prabhu in India. And we figured out a system now. And now I think it has already been shared in the National Sankirtan Leaders team, that a form to fill out if you want to send sets to India. And all you have to do is just fill out the form and give out the address, and the sets are dispatched to any place that you want in India. So that is a step 3. And there is a video next we will see how His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu also has mentioned how the sets in villages are very popular. In the next slide, Prabhu, if you can go. We found that if devotees want to sponsor sets, they want to know where is it going. And these are the various places that we figured out. That is, one is Tribal Care Program by His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj. He's doing Srimad Bhagavatam sets to tribal villages in Assam and other states. And then His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Maharaj has his Daivi Varnashrama ministry where he's traveling from village to village to village. And he personally placed Srimad Bhagavatams in 108 villages in the previous years. And we have some devotees who are working dedicatedly to go in bullock carts, doing Padayatra in states like Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu. So we have sent some sets to all these devotees who are placing in all the villages. And when they go to this village, they actually make sure that the teachings of Bhagavad Gita are spread. At the same time, the Bhagavatams are given to the village sarpanch or to the schools in the villages. And we also sent to Govardhan Eco Village, and we sent some sets to Pune. There is a students group who come under the care of His Grace Radhe Shyam Prabhu, and they go through the course and they read Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, but they cannot afford to buy Srimad Bhagavatam. So those kind of sets have been distributed as well. And if you want, these are the spots still available if you want to have your temple send Srimad Bhagavatam sets too. And we have a promotional video that we send out to our congregation that His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu has made. That's the next slide, I believe.
Malini,
Yes,
hold it
Prabhu?
right there. Just
Okay.
everyone bookmark this. It's such an important presentation. We're very lucky to now have His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj with us in the Zoom room. And let's see if we can verify that. Is it true? Yes, it's true. So,
We're just waiting for audio and video to.
okay, we're waiting for audio and video. I hope you're appreciating Malini's presentation. It's concentrated, practical, and it's practical means about what I was about to say. You can use it immediately. In the last 12 days, it's really easy to have fundraisers, and these are targeted places where the books can go. How are we doing on a Cool Save with audio?
Just need a minute or two more. Just finding out the message.
Okay, just stop us. Malini, you just go right ahead, and as soon as we have audio and visual contact, we'll let you know.
Sure, Prabhu. Actually, we were thinking of playing a video, the promotional video that you made, requesting everybody to participate in the Gram Vidyadan. And Kulasi Prabhu, can we play that while Maharaj is coming?
Yes, for sure.
It's my great pleasure to introduce you to Gram Vidyadham, a way to preserve the great wealth and legacy of India. What is the great wealth of India? It's knowledge, Sanatan Dharma, knowledge of our higher self, our eternal identity, and our relationship to the Supreme. When that's forgotten, all is lost. No technology, science, or material resources can make up for the loss of Sanatan Dharma. And the knowledge has to be distributed to people all over India and the world. This is India's great gift to the world, but charity begins at home. Villages all over India, which are the mainstay of its culture, are being lost to other ideologies. Now, through Gram Vidyadham, we are placing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Ishopanishad, and Ramayana within these villages, painstakingly going from one to the next and making sure that they go into the Panchayat centers and that there are educational programs for everyone in the village. The result? People are coming alive. They're remembering their culture. They're so happy to read these books. They feel a purpose in life again. Please help us. We are doing this program by the thousands and now tens of thousands. Let's work together. If you donate $200, you will support one village with Vedic knowledge and a teacher who will help to disseminate it to the people in the village so they can support themselves. Thank you very much for helping. Hare Krishna.
Anukul Seva, how are we doing with Maharaj? Is he able to connect yet?
Yes.
Jai. Yes, fortunately, I can hear you, Maharaj. I can see you too. So things are looking up.
I think we should take the camera down the room. We can head to the program by one. We will just get one. But we will try to push that everywhere. But I'm putting on tomorrow and think about that. Put it down.
Anukul Seva, we're having a little problem hearing Maharaj. Is there anything that Maharaj's assistants can do to help?
Well, we were touching this point a few minutes ago.
Okay, now it's better. Please go ahead. Thanks, Nartam Priya.
Yes, more questions. Yes.
It was about the same point I was asking eternity to die. We also every month that we ask of the 10 times is other times to reach the first Bhadra or the faith test. And so I wanted to understand taking both of these together, like we should teach, we should give the message of everyone we keep, but also not reach to the faith test. How do we make that balance that we each, but also don't commit that offense?
Preach to everyone. Everyone chant.
Maharaj, are you able to hear us?
Yeah.
Maharaj, are you able to hear us?
Yeah, I am.
Everybody, we're working behind the scenes to try to get clarity on Mars' connection. So thank you for standing by. We're going to try to call Nartam Priya and see if he can tell us what's happening. Here's Maharaj. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Said in the scripture, if we reach good, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhadra Purnima, then we get unlimited blessing from the Lord. But we started promoting it, and not this is like So they are already great. They are all.
Sorry, Maharaj, you're on mute.
Tulayama Levena Pi Naswargam Napunar Bhagavat Santi Sangasya Yanam Kimitashisha. A moment's association with the Bhagavat is more valuable than anything else in this world and can lead us to ultimate liberation. So I think we had Maharaj there tentatively, but I think what we got was his goodwill. He's been champion of book distribution since the very beginning. Everywhere he goes, it springs up because of what's in his heart, his leadership and his advocacy. And although he was in a space there, we may get him back, but I'm just saying, even if we don't, he expressed his will that we should go on and take this Bhadra Purnima very seriously. It's his heart and soul. He imbibed it from Srila Prabhupada and he's made it reality all over India and the world. So just because we couldn't hear everything he said, we understood from him showing up. He voted with his feet, and we can take that and invest it. So we have the great fortune of having Maharaj patch in, and if he comes back with stronger connection, then we'll bring him back in again for sure. But we'll continue with Malini. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, because this is really good what you're doing. Go ahead, Malini.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. As we after we showed the video that His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu made as a promotion, a lot of devotees started calling in saying that, I want to sponsor Set 5 for my village. And I believe during last year, we got orders for almost 500 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam in villages in India. And we also found that if we have a testimonial of where the sets are going, devotees actually get more enthusiastic because they wanted to know, where did my money that I put in, how is it making an impact in the world? And recently, we just got a testimonial from one of the villages in Maharashtra. As His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu was mentioning in the beginning of the call, it starts with one person, spreads to another, and then spreads to the whole village. Actually, we can see that testimonial video. Ankul Siva Prabhu, would you mind playing that video?
हरे कृष्ण. मी सुरेखा दत्तात्रय कामथे. माझे गाव यमाई शिवरी, सासवड नजीक, तालुका पुरंदर, जिल्हा पुणे, राज्य महाराष्ट्र, देश भारत. प्रथम मी सर्वांना दंडवत प्रणाम करते. श्रीमद भागवतम हे मला भद्र पौर्णिमेच्या निमित्ताने प्राप्त झाले आणि मला वाचनाची आवड असल्यामुळे मी जेव्हा केव्हा मला वेळ मिळेल तेव्हा मी ते वाचत गेले आणि ते वाचल्यामुळं मला जो काही उपदेश मिळाला, प्रभुपादांनी त्याच्यात जे काही शिकवलं आहे त्याच्यातून जे काही मला मिळालं त्याच्यानुसार माझ्या जीवनामध्ये खूप परिवर्तन आलं, खूप बदल झाले आणि अशा या बदलाच्या अनुषंगाने मी माझं जीवन जगण्याचा प्रयत्न करत आहे. तर अशा ह्या भागवतमचं आणि भागवतमचं म्हणजेच भगवान श्रीकृष्णांचं नाम, रूप, गुण, लीला यांचा जो महिमा आहे तो महिमा माझ्याबरोबरचे जे काही आसपासचे लोक आहेत, जे माझे मित्रमैत्रिणी आहेत, जे माझ्या सहवासात आहेत, त्यांना मी हळूहळू त्याचं महत्त्व सांगू लागले. ज्याप्रमाणे मला समजले त्याच्या प्रमाणात. तर अशाही लोकांना ते खूप आवडलं. आणि हा जो काही मी थोडा प्रचार केला, भागवतमचा प्रचार करण्याचा जो काही प्रयत्न केला, त्या प्रयत्नाचं फळ मला असं मिळालं की आजही आमच्या घरामध्ये भागवतमचं अध्ययन चालू आहे. आणि तुम्ही पाहू शकता आजही भक्त ते श्रवण करण्यासाठी आनंदाने उत्साहाने आमच्या घरी येतात. असं हे श्रीमद भागवतम हे भगवान श्रीकृष्णांचं वाङ्मयीन साहित्य रूप आहे. आणि हे असं सर्वोच्च परमश्रेष्ठ अमूल्य असं की ज्याच्यासाठी शब्द कमी पडतील असं हे देणगी मला अमेरिकेतील हरेकृष्ण भक्तांकडून मिळाली. त्याबद्दल मी खरं मनापासून त्यांचं खूप आभारी आहे आणि मी त्यांचं मनापासून धन्यवाद करते. हरे कृष्ण.
As you saw that testimonial, that one person who received Bhagavatam from us last year, she's now spreading the message all over her village. And there's one more video that I'm not able to show, but when we send Bhagavatam sets and Bhagavad Gitas, that person mentioned that why are you only sending it to our village? I want to make sure every village in India has these books. And how can we make that happen? So there is a lot of opportunity for us to save villages of India. A lot of devotees are very much interested in this campaign. So if you need more information on how to set this up, you can reach out to the team. Shamoini Mataji can share that resources. This is all I had to share. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Molly. We may not see the trajectory of a particular Bhagavatam set that we distribute, but you can be very sure that it will have an impact that lasts for generations. Books are beloved in human society, and they don't go away. They inculcate, they spread seeds. The way ideologies are spread around the world is through the distribution of literature. And therefore, the Bhagavat culture will rise the more that we distribute Srimad Bhagavatam sets. It's a worthy cause. Everyone should do it as much as possible. Malini, recently also we had great success in opening a pipeline to the Ukraine. And we're working on other parts of the world, but practically in Ukraine, we've sent dozens, hundreds of sets. I'm just wondering if you want to just make a brief comment about that.
Yes, Prabhu. So one of our devotees here is helping the devotees in Ukraine. A lot of devotees from Ukraine moved to other parts because of the war, but those devotees who stayed back, they are going through a lot of stress. So one of the ways we wanted to help them we thought of sending Srimad Bhagavatam sets, and we started sending the first shipment of 25 Srimad Bhagavatams, and they were received very nicely. And we were getting some appreciation messages and videos from those devotees there and from locals there. And then we opened up and we sent another 50 more. So far we sent 75 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam to the people in Ukraine, and it's very well received, especially at this time. And we're also trying to open up other spots, which will be announced soon. But this is work in progress.
Thank you very much, Molly. We will be opening more pipelines, but take advantage of the Indian one. It's huge. There are tens of thousands of little villages that are in contention right now. Many people going there, introducing many different ideas. And when the Bhagavatam holds forth in the villages, people are strong and they feel enlivened in their culture. So we're going to close now, but I would like to ask Amarendra Prabhu to give us one closing verse that we can remember as we go forth. Something to encourage us to have the heart of a lion, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was described as lion-like. Can you give us one verse to take with us, Amarendra Prabhu?
he may have stepped away. In which case, let's end with a prayer. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev. If you so desire, please empower our global team to reach our goal of 43,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam for this Bhadra Purnima on September 10th. Please send us willing participants. Please give us resources and open all channels and help us overcome all obstacles so that we can please your lordships by distributing this number of Srimad Bhagavatam sets. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone who agrees with this prayer in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Danta
Hare.
Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai.
Hare
Hari Bol. Do it big, everybody.
Hare Krishna.